Two homes in HRM can cost almost the same amount of money and sit 20 minutes apart from each other and create completely different versions to your lifestyle. One might give you walkable neighborhoods and a short trip to work, but less space and difficult parking situations. Another might give you a bigger yard and quieter evenings, but add more driving and home maintenance and a longer winter commute. I'm Logan Tomczyk, your real-life realtor here in Halifax. In this video, I'm gonna help you compare Halifax, Dartmouth, Bedford, and communities beyond the urban core based on what daily life can actually feel like, not based on which area is supposedly the best. And near the end, I'll give you 5 questions that I ask relocating buyers before we even start looking at homes. Now here's a family situation that I see all the time. We're gonna talk about the Smiths for a moment. Now, this is again based on conversations that I have with people relocating to Nova Scotia, so I've changed their identities for privacy reasons. They were moving from Ontario with 2 children. Both parents worked mostly from home. They wanted more access to nature and they had a healthy budget to work with. Online, they had narrowed their search down to the south end of Halifax and Fall River. On the Halifax Peninsula, they loved the idea of being closer to restaurants, the waterfront, hospitals, universities, and a lot of events going on. But many of the homes that they preferred had less outdoor space, older systems, and older finishes to the homes that needed some renovation works. So they did have that community and the amenities, but they were lacking a lot of the nature and more nuanced upgrades. In Fall River, they loved the larger properties and access to the lakes and trails, but they hadn't fully considered the amount of driving that they would have or that they would be on a well system or septic system. So they had to go through those nuances and understand what those trade-offs looked like. Their problem was not a lack of options. It was that they were comparing homes instead of comparing what their regular daily life would look like. Where would they buy groceries? How often would they cross the bridge to Dartmouth? Could their children's activities be reached without spending the evening in a car? Did they maintain a large yard and were they able to do that? Would they actually use the walkable neighborhoods enough to justify paying for those types of amenities? Once we changed the conversation, their search, it became a lot more clear. So let's break down HRM by lifestyle and what those trade-offs can look like. First, we're talking about Halifax here, especially the peninsula. So the main advantage is the proximity to everything. Depending on the neighborhood, you may be closer to major employment areas, universities, hospitals, restaurants, entertainment, and of course, the waterfront and established parks like Point Pleasant Park. Some areas will allow you to have a little bit more walkability and cycling as well as transit with bus routes, but the downtown, north end, south end, Clayton Park and Spryfield areas and Fairview areas, they all have trade-offs and feel a little bit different. This could look like smaller homes, less parking on the streets. You might have older homes too with more character and charm, but you're gonna need to do some renovations to give it that 2026 feel. So do not just ask whether you want to live in Halifax. Ask which daily conveniences are worth paying for and which ones are you willing to compromise and accept as a renovation cost or just as your new way of living. Next, we're focused on Dartmouth. Dartmouth is one of the easiest areas to oversimplify because downtown Dartmouth and Woodlawn, Portland Hills, Cole Harbour, and Eastern Passage, they're not all interchangeable. Downtown Dartmouth, it offers its own restaurants, business opportunities, waterfront, and direct ferry commute to downtown Halifax. Other parts of Dartmouth are more traditionally subdivided and they have their own set of trails and lakes, but a little bit fewer homes. So you end up with a little less cluster and a little bit more space. So For example, the Dartmouth Harbourfront Trail connects to the Woodside and the Dartmouth ferry terminals, while Shuby Canal and the other areas in that spot could have a little bit more nature, and those are some of the trade-offs that you'll experience based on these areas in Dartmouth. Again, the point is to focus on the different types of areas and how that's going to affect your lifestyle. So if you want more busier downtown vibes, then maybe we stay away from Eastern Passage. The third area that we're going to be talking about is Bedford, as well as the Bedford-Sackville area, because those are two very different spots. Bedford, it can appeal to buyers who want suburban housing and remaining connected to Halifax, Dartmouth, and major highways. It offers established neighborhoods and shopping, as well as rec centers and things like the Bedford Basin. The Bedford waterfront area has its walkabilities as well as its own set of parks to explore and have adventures with. But it definitely has its own challenges with typically older homes and a slower lifestyle. Now, Bedford West, you're finding different school areas, different shopping facilities, and different highway access here in this newer, starting to grow, more developed area. A home might look newer, nicer, bigger, but you will be a little bit farther away from more common amenities. So you might not have the shopping that you want or the fine dining experience that you have here. It's coming in Bedford West, it's just not there today. The area that we're going to be talking next is Fall River, and that can offer larger properties, more lakes and land options, and it may appeal to someone who's going to be closer to the South Shore area or St. Margaret's Bay. Now, Eastern Passage, all the way in Dartmouth, can offer that coastal living, but if you're looking for more lakes, then you're probably going to want to be closer to the Fall River side, I would say, so you have the bigger space and a little bit more privacy. But the trade-off here in Fall River, you're most likely going to be on a water well system as well as a septic system instead of municipal services. So it also might take a little bit longer for your power to come back on if you're out in Fall River. Now, do not rely on a listing description when making a move, because everyone will say that they've got the best schools. It's best to do a little bit of research. Ask your realtor, hey, what school zones is this home in? What types of grocery stores am I close to? Where's the nearest hospital? Or where's the next available highway access so I can visit family in a different part of HRM? If you're focused on those types of amenities, then you need to ask your realtor that, hey, these are on my needs list, not my wants list. So we can focus on your search and really tailor it to those specific areas. Now, when again, you're looking at outside of HRM, you're gonna get more land. You're gonna get typically a bigger home for a lower price per square foot. But again, there are those trade-offs. Your commute to work might be longer if you don't work from home. You might need to get into the car when you're buying your groceries as opposed to taking a walk. So you need to just focus on things like how much driving is gonna affect your daily life. Would you rather focus on maintaining an older home in a central location or a newer home a little bit farther out? What matters more? Walkability, yard space, privacy, or general convenience? And after the down payment and closing costs, does the home still leave room for things like your transportation or your maintenance to the home, bills for the utilities, and your overall lifestyle that you want to experience and enjoy? The best HRM community is not the one with the strongest reputation or the prettiest listing photos you see online. It's the one that makes your ordinary week worthwhile, that fits your lifestyle. Now, if you're relocating to HRM or trying to choose between Halifax, Dartmouth, Bedford, or any of the surrounding communities, you should download my HRM relocation guide. I'll have a link in the description below. And send me a message again in the comments. I'd love to help out where I can and provide a bit more information if you're considering moving to HRM and Nova Scotia. I'm here to help every step of the way and not focus on what's prettier online, but focus on your lifestyle so we can have the right home for you. And if this video has helped, again, you can also let me know in the comments. My information is below and I'd love to connect with you. I'm Logan Tomczyk, your real life realtor, and I'll see you in the next video.